Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing well, Matt. Good to see you.
Thanks. We're trying things a little new today. We got a new show coming up after this, Ask the Mayor, with East Hampton Village Mayor Jerry Larson. So we are in the green screen studio here at LTV. And Peter, we have some congratulations in order for you, as you have been reelected as the town supervisor in East Hampton. Once again, you won with 47% of the vote. So congratulations, as the Democrats swept the election last week.
Well, thanks very much, Matt. It's really truly an honor to serve, and humbling to receive such overwhelming support. I think, in a three-way race to win by 19 points was significant, and the fact that my running mates all won as well, I think leads me to believe that the general public feels that we're doing a good job, working hard, and going in the right direction. So I take that very seriously. Again, it's humbling, and now we have to get to the very difficult work of addressing a number of many challenges within our township.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind going in a little bit about your goals for your next term, and or just a message that you have for the citizens of East Hampton Town moving forward, now that it is official and that you and your team will have another term here.
Well, I think the environmental and economic sustainability of our town is critical, and part of the sustainability of our local economy really relates to housing affordability, the ability of working people to stay in the community. We're seeing a number of businesses starting to struggle because they're having trouble, retaining staff, attracting staff. We're geographically isolated, so transportation is a problem. Our roadways are, overburdened. So we need to find ways to address housing affordability and also transportation. The two are connected. People are coming out here to work from areas that are more affordable. So we need to improve the transportation system. I think there's a huge opportunity with our train that comes out. We need to have sidings to make the one single track capable of having a better schedule and trains to be able to pass. And at the same time, we need to continue with our efforts to offer more options with housing affordability. We have a number of properties that we're looking to develop now with housing units.
Yeah, and I noticed that in the next town meeting, Tom Rule will be coming in, and he has the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Program, and he's going to be talking about the budget. Can you maybe dumb that down in layman's terms and explain what Tom may be doing?
There's a pass-through of federal dollars to the state into the town for community development, and these block grants are for different not-for-profit organizations and for affordable housing units. In the past, the applicants have ranged from the Retreat or Eleanor Whitmore, Early Childhood Development, Project Most, etc. And those funds are available. There's criteria for them, and it's to help with improvements of those entities' infrastructure. In some cases, we use that money for replacing outdated kitchens and whalebone, etc. So there'll be a list there. We get applications for those grants every year, and it will be up to the town board to decide how that money gets allocated.
Interesting. I mean, it's very interesting stuff, as I know Tom works really hard there in everything that he does. And you also mentioned the environment is a very important thing, at least for you moving forward in this town. And on the agenda coming up this week, I noticed that there is a implementation of a Wainscott Hamlet study going on.
Yes, that's right. So you may recall that the town engaged outside consultants to help us complete the Hamlet studies, which then were adopted and became part of our town's comprehensive plan. The last comprehensive plan update, I think, was finalized in 2005 and put into action, but it didn't actually complete that portion of the Hamlet study. So that's something that I initiated originally in Waynescott, and when Larry Cantwell came in, said, well, look, let's just do them all at once. Let's go through each Hamlet. And so that work's completed, and we're going to be discussing implementation of the Waynescott Hamlet plan, which looks at a number of different issues, traffic circulation, future development, in the former sand mine, looking at the existing business district and how we might change zoning so that it becomes less of a drive-through strip mall kind of a feel, moving it more towards a community center and Hamlet center. And we've had a lot of engagement from Waynescott residents. We've taken their concerns to heart. Those have been adopted into the plan. And so we'll begin these discussions about implementing some of those changes.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what type of things could change where it becomes less of a strip mall-like feel and more of a community, local, tight-knit feel? How does that happen over time?
So as Waynescott Business District developed, it's mostly just lots that front right up on the highway, with each having their own access point. Part of the way that the Hamlet was laid out originally included Bathgate Road, which was sort of like a service road running behind, but that did not get developed the way it was supposed to. And in fact, portions of it became abandoned. So it's really re-envisioning future development and gearing it towards a Hamlet that has more internal circulation, more park-like, walkable areas, having shared parking rather than separated parking. And that there are also, plans to change the circulation on the highway. Obviously, we'd have to get New York State Department of Transportation involved, but there's discussion about having a traffic circle at that location, which will help traffic continue to move, although it will slow it down, but it'll be slow and steady versus, coming to an abrupt stop. So, this helps calm down the traffic through, so it won't feel quite so much like being on a major highway. If you look at some of the other Route 27 major downtown areas in the various hamlets, whether it's Bridgehampton or Amagansett, it has a very different feel than Waynescott right now. So,
So is it
the
safe?
goal.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. Is it safe to say that you want more of a Amagansett Square feel to the Waynescott area?
Well, I would say, the addition of the property and the Waynescott Green, where we purchased the former dilapidated, abandoned, nightclub property and turned that into a beautiful little pocket park, buying 4 acres of land to keep development from occurring at the entrance to Waynescott on the north side several years before that. The recent purchase by Peconic Land Trust of the restaurant at the head of the pond, all of these things are moving towards making this hamlet much more walkable and aesthetically beautiful, and I think in a way that best serves the local hamlet. So we have an opportunity here to continue to engage with the residents of Waynescott to shape the future of Waynescott in a way that the community really supports. So we look forward to that.
No, I think it's a great thing. I know that from my point of view, I would like to see a better local tight-knit community in every hamlet. And, I have a few friends in the Waynescott area, so I know that they will only be energetic about this. Moving forward, staying on environment topic, we have the South Fork Wind Farm License Agreement. Can you go on a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, as you know, the town has entered into an agreement for the burying of the offshore transport cable landing at Beach Lane and going to the Cove Hollow substation. And a portion of that cable route will be along the the Long Island Railroad. And that right-of-way is rather narrow, and there are a couple of access points that South Fork Wind would like to have permission to use the town property to gain access for staging and construction. So we're reviewing that that request, and we're interested in knowing what all it would entail, what period of time, and of course the full remediation of any disturbances is also part of that. But again, this is another way that we can work together to bring renewable energy to East Hampton and complete this project, which I think just has the remaining Bureau of Ocean Energy Management certificate to be issued, which is in its final stages of review. I think later this month we'll have an announcement about that.
Awesome. The next thing I have on our talking points today is new stop signs. David Lease wants to bring up some new stop signs in the town. Any specific locations that we're talking about here?
So we have received, over time, a number of different locations where there are actually right angle intersections that do not yet have stop signs, and they're in areas, where there really hasn't maybe been that much traffic, but he's taken this up to identify those locations, and it takes a town board resolution, a public hearing, and a town board resolution in order to place a stop sign has to be filed with the state, and so we're beginning that process on a number of intersections.
Yeah, I know the town has done that, especially on the Town Lane in Amagansett. They added a few stop signs down that road twice, actually, that they were two of the biggest traffic violations and crash areas out here. So I'm all for keeping the town safer, even if that means stopping at a stop sign. I think it makes sense. Make it make sense is what you hear people say, and I think that makes sense.
And these are primarily all in right in residential neighborhoods too. So that's
even better. Can't be having people driving fast when there's people out and about. Now, if you don't mind, we always cover these two topics, but let's start with the latest on the airport now that the election is over. Some people think we're heading towards a temporary closure, but let's get your official word on this at post-election.
So we're going to continue working on collecting data to reinforce and inform the town board as to the best way to proceed. We'll actually be having a discussion with our outside consultants, HR&A. They're going to give an update to the economic impacts analysis. There's been some further look at that relative to the East Hampton Alliance's economic analysis. So we'll get an update on that. We will be meeting with the FAA later this week, actually, and have discussions with them about procedure moving forward. We have been looking into closing East Hampton Airport for a short period of time and reopening as a publicly owned private airport. And this is based on the letter that we got from the FAA back in, I think it was November of 2020, which listed options for us once grant assurances had expired. This would allow us to fully regulate our airport. And so that's something we're pursuing. At the same time, we're looking again at all the data on complaints and number of flights, whatnot. We have met with various stakeholders, both aviation industry, environmentalists, to hear from each different group what their concerns are, see if we can chart a path forward that will have significant impacts on the volume and frequency of aircraft flights, the noise, and environmental impacts. And so we want to do that in a very careful and comprehensive way, and we are moving forward in that way.
Now, has the FAA at any point, and for those of you at home who may not know what we're talking about, the Federal Aviation Association?
Administration.
Administration, there we go. Peter knows it. Has the FAA made any specific recommendations to the town at any point, whether or not to keep it open, whether to update certain things? Has there been any straightforward, we recommend you do this from the FAA?
No, not really, Matt. We've engaged with them. I've met with them on 2 previous occasions during COVID and before to discuss path forward with our airport once the grant assurances, had expired. And again, that's what generated the letter that we received in November 2020. And their charge and goal is to maintain and expand aviation throughout the United States. That's what their charge is. That's their mission statement. So in some ways, what we want to achieve is very much in conflict with their mission. However, they also, part of the mission again is to maintain airports. They prefer that we didn't close the airport. And I think there is a willingness, since we now have that as an option, to work with us to try to achieve meaningful change in a way that our community supports. And so, that dialogue is going to continue. And I'm optimistic. I think we've had very positive responses from the FAA as of late, and they've been willing to meet with us and work with us to try to figure this out. It's a very, very complicated issue. It has many different facets, including potential diversion to Montauk or other airports. What the other impacts might be on our economy, but I can tell you that my sense from the campaign has been that most people feel that the airport should remain open, but there have to be significant changes there in order for it to be acceptable for it to stay open.
Now, a lot of people have heard from locals' point of view, from people who have been there their whole life. Can you maybe explain what you've been hearing from the users of the airport, the actual people that maybe the top 10 people that use it, go in and out? What have they been saying? If you don't mind me asking, just because a lot of people out here may not know someone that uses the airport for an actual plane. So if you could go on a little bit about what the users of the airport have been saying. Have they been working with the town? Have they been cordial about it? Just any information, any insight that you may be able to offer up.
Well, I don't know that I've met with all top 10 users, but I'll say that I've certainly met with the entire realm of users at the airport, whether they be hobbyists, aviators that might have a small plane they keep there, from large corporate entities such as Blade, wealthy owners of private jets, really the whole gamut of airport users, the occasional commuter or somebody who has taken a medical flight from here to go somewhere, from someone who was during COVID who had an autistic child who could not wear a mask, and they were moving to Colorado and they couldn't fly on a commercial airliner because of the situation with not being able to wear a mask. Just you name it.
I mean, these are things we don't, the average citizen doesn't know about that story. So, I mean, that's the exact type of input I'm looking for.
So, again, what I hear from folks like that is that, they would like the airport to be open, and, some are in it for the money. Mm-hmm. Some are in it for recreational uses, some of it for, health issues, in limited circumstances, a one-time only, or maybe a couple-night flight. So it's quite varied, and, the motivations for each person or entity is always, varied as well. So, and then on the other side of the coin, we have people who have never used the airport. They may never use the airport, but feel like, if I wanted to and I needed to, I'd like to have that option. to those who, feel that it really doesn't benefit a huge number of people, and therefore the detriment is greater than the benefit, and it should be closed. So, we have quite a variety of different expectations about the future of the airport and opinions about it, and we're just going to take the time we need to make the most informed decision as to what the community wants and what kind of standards they will accept. And so that's our challenge, and it's a daunting challenge, frankly. But I do feel that we can get to a point where we make a decision that's well supported by the community.
Now, not including COVID, do you think the airport has been your biggest challenge while you've been town supervisor?
No. I don't. I mean, I think, the airport has probably been spotlighted, but I think there's some other really important challenges that probably don't get the attention, and maybe it's because we're not necessarily seeing all the impacts from them. They're maybe a little bit longer term, but I have serious concerns, environmental concerns. This is the third season in a row where we've had pretty much total collapse of our local scallops. And, for the uninformed, people might say, well, who cares? You just buy your scallops somewhere else. But, these are the canaries in the coal mine. And, we need to pay very close attention. This was actually a very large economic driver in our community for generations, and it was a cash crop in the wintertime for Bayman. And I think at one point the harvest of scallops was well over $12 million in revenue in the town. And so the fact that it's part of the ecosystem that's unraveling, I think it's really important. It's an indicator of greater issues. We need to be attuned to them. We need to continue to work hard to improve and protect our water quality. We need to transition away from harmful chemicals that are used in lawn care. We have a lot to do, and I'm very concerned about these things. I'm concerned about sea level rise. When you look at our coastline, you see the amount of infrastructure and tax base at risk from sea level rise. If you imagine in the next 4 to 5 decades, you could get 2 to 4 feet of more sea level. And you look around, and when you look at those maps for sea level rise and storm surge inundation, there's significant loss there. So we need to figure out how to adapt to that. These are pressing issues that we only now just starting to realize what those impacts will be.
When we talk about sustainability and keeping the environment safe and the sea levels lower, everything you just mentioned, how can a citizen like myself or anyone else support you and support the town in their movement to making this a more sustainable place to live and a healthy environmental place to live? How can we support you?
Great question. And, I think the simplest way is to simply look at your own lifestyle and see what it is you can change to improve the situation, whether it's buying an electric car, or riding a bike more often instead of driving, get solar panels put on your roof. There are a lot of steps that we can take that all have impacts on climate. Be careful about what products you buy, and try to wherever possible avoid additional packaging. Recycle when you can. There are just so many different things you can do. Get a home energy audit, free home energy audit from the town, and find out where that cold air is leaking into your house and how you're losing energy. And you can make those improvements to the energy efficiency of your home, which is by far, I think, the largest user of energy is one's home. So there are all these different things you can do. You can support us when we are looking at legislation that helps improve the situation. We've recently been reviewing the New York stretch code, which is more stringent energy standards for new construction or substantial reconstruction. We're looking at expanding our electric vehicle charging infrastructure here at Town Hall. We've applied for a grant for another 20 stations here.
Oh, wow.
So there are a lot of different things we can do, and we need to be just doing as many of them as we can. And it doesn't mean you have to suffer, but you can just by simple choices in your lifestyle make an impact. And if everybody does one or two simple things, it all adds up.
I had no idea the town offered free home power. What you said?
Free energy audits, yeah, free home. As part of East Hampton's, green effort, we also have offered rooftop solar through a open bid process. A local solar contractor, Green Logic, will come and give you an estimate for putting solar on your roof and give you a reduced rate on the installation through the town's program.
That's awesome.
So, for instance, my house since 2018 has been producing more energy than I use, and because of the net metering program at that time, that extra energy goes back onto the grid for others to use, and it offsets my energy consumption. I get basically like rollover kilowatts, if you will. So that's been great. I've saved well over $5,000 and produced green energy.
Hey, that's awesome. I honestly had no idea the town offered that service. Peter, like we talked about, we're going to end a little bit early today. I want to send my congratulations to you again on getting reelected and having another 4 years as town supervisor.
Thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate that. And thanks to everyone who voted for me, and to everyone out there. I'm going to work to do my very best for all the citizens of East Hampton, regardless of whether you voted for me or not.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. Up next, we have Ask the Mayor with Jerry Larson, the new mayor of the East Hampton Village. He'll be here live with me in just under 3 minutes. Thank you again, Peter, and have a good night.
Thanks, Matt. Be well. Take care, everyone.